Hello and welcome to a Source Gaming discussion. I'm your host Nantenjex, and joining me today is Colin.
Hi, I'm the movie-watchingest member of Source Gaming.
Yep, yes you are. And that's why you're here with me to talk about the Mario movie.
I was gonna say, we should put my letterboxd in the description down below, so everyone can be like, oh, I gotta see what this guy thinks about Lady in the Water. You know?
And you can find out about all the movies that you watch.
Yeah, every movie ever made.
But alright, to start off, I think what we should do for the Mario movie, and by the way, this is going to have spoilers in it, so you should, I guess, be watching this after you've seen the movie yourself,
yeah.
Or you don't care about that kind of thing.
I feel like if you've seen any of the trailers, you already know the spoilers.
To be fair,
of the
that
movie.
is very true.
There's not a lot left up to the imagination here.
Yeah, but to start with, a general sort of thoughts. I really liked it, personally. I thought it was, with Despicable Me, probably the best Illuminations movie. It's been ages since I've seen Despicable Me, so it's hard to tell, but they're kind of very different movies, so it's also slightly hard to compare them. But I preferred, out of all the video game movies I've seen, I think I prefer this one to the rest of them. Like, some of the video game movies are obviously like really cheesy, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. But if I was to compare it to, say, the Sonic movies, for example, I think the Sonic movies definitely have a lot more lower points than this does. I think this movie doesn't really... it doesn't have really high points, but it also doesn't have low points either. It's kind of standard in the middle throughout the whole thing, if that makes sense. But that was my general thoughts about it. What about you, Colin?
That's really interesting. So you think this is the like in the video game to movie pipeline, like where on the video game movie spectrum, like where is the Mario movie for you?
I think it's pretty high up there. I think that they went in here with the intention of just translating the Mario story in games to film, and didn't really consider making it anything greater than that. Like, they probably could have, but I don't feel like that was their intention. I think that they did a very just standard adaptation of the Super Mario Brothers story, but swapped a couple things around, like the fact that Peach isn't the damsel, but Luigi is this time. Just change some things up like that. But otherwise, because of that, it doesn't have like the usual hero's journey stuff, because in the video game like Super Mario Brothers, it's always just escalation and continuous like progress. And it's the same thing here. Like, there's no really any downtime or low point. I suppose there's one very brief section that might count towards the end of the movie as a low point, but otherwise it's from point A to point B to point C to point D. Just a continuous stroll. But I think it kind of works as an adaptation of Mario anyway.
Yeah, well, Nan, I hate to be such a downer, but I thought the movie was, like, good.
And that's it.
Yeah, like, it was good. I don't think there's, like, because I guess... I guess we have to address the critics thing. I saw the critics rating go up, like the Rotten Tomatoes scores and the Metacritic scores. By the way, folks, please just take those values at like those numbers and statistics. Just take them at face value. Like, that's their whole like purpose. Is not to be like, oh, this is a definitive objective mark of this is what the Earth has decided is like the actual number percentage of quality for this movie. That's not how any of these sites work. It's just to tell you how many of a larger number was like, yeah, it's good or more. That's really how it works. Of course, make your own opinions, watch the thing. That goes without saying.
50% would imply that it's like diversive, I guess, because half of the reviews have to be really positive and the other half have to be really negative for that to come out this way.
Yeah, if anything, it just means that it was more divisive, or people were just like, yeah, it's okay. Like, just on the fence, really. And I guess that's like That's kind of how I feel. Although I don't think like any part of the movie doesn't work. There's certainly a lot of, I think, decisions that I think hinder the movie. Really, like, I thought it was good, but I thought it should have been way more fun than it was.
Okay.
I feel like they could have just done more. It feels way too constrained.
That's kind of interesting, because I think the movie is quite fun, and I also think they almost did too much in the time frame that they gave themselves. Like, one of my criticisms of this movie is that the pacing is, like, incredibly fast paced. Like,
yeah, it is. It feels like it's like the film feels 50 minutes long. It feels like an episode of Breaking Bad length.
It's for starters, being an hour and a half movie, this might be the shortest movie I've seen in a very long time. And it certainly feels that way. But there's so much stuff that happens in this movie that it feels like there's scenes don't get the chance to breathe. Like, it will cut from Mario and Peach to Luigi, and the Luigi scene will be like a minute long, and then it will cut back to Mario and Peach, and then...
That's exactly it. That's exactly how I felt. Like, it felt like Nintendo... So let's bring up the 93 movie for a second. Mainly because this movie is clearly aware of the 93 movie. It directly lifts story beats from the 93 movie, which is fine. That's fine. Cool. Honestly, sick. The ending of the movie, I was like, wow, they did that again. I'm like, yeah, sure. Awesome. It's great. But I wouldn't be surprised if they used it as like a template of like, these are things we should do, these are things we should not do. And someone was definitely like, hey, you see how everyone's making fun of the Mario and Luigi we can't have bits in this movie. We can't have like it feels like I think a great example of this is you have this like beautifully rendered the Mushroom Kingdom, like when they fly through it and everything, it looks great. It's full of all sorts of little visual gags and references that blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Like, they every time you see it, it's because the camera's like zooming through the environment. Like, there's no moments where the movie can, like, this movie is so focused on advancing the plot that it doesn't really have any moments where the characters can just like, well, except for Bowser, I guess, because that's all he does the whole movie is just bits.
Yeah.
But I really wanted more instances of like, you know, Mario doing Mario things.
I think it's like a great example of this problem is like the Mario Donkey Kong dynamic, which is really good in the movie. They have their kind of...
Yeah, it was probably the best part of the
turnaround thing when they're eaten by Unagi, and they're inside Unagi's stomach. And that scene also only lasts like a minute.
Yeah,
they go from being grumpy with each other and insulting each other to then suddenly realizing how to get out, and now suddenly working together. And then from that point, that's it. Now they're frenemies, basically. Working together throughout this whole thing, and there's a lot more they could have. They clearly had stuff they wanted to do at that moment, like, you know, Mario comparing what Donkey Kong's saying to his dad, and them having the same issues, but they don't like sit on it, I guess. Like, the closest scene anything in the movie comes to giving Mario a sort of little moment is the one with that him and Peach have in the Fireflower Field, which is also not very long, but it is like the slowest paced scene of the movie.
It feels like it should have been part of like a subplot, and then they don't really do anything with it.
It's like the establishing point for Mario and Peach's relationship.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So everything that happens in this movie is like they timed it exactly to be like, this is the shortest amount of time we could do this one thing in this movie to make the point obvious.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need a scene that secures Luigi's love in his brother. We'll have a flashback where they're babies for 5 seconds, and then we'll cut back, and then move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying any of this is like inherently bad, because I think the final experience is still like a pretty good fast movie, but I do wish they spent more time with it. Like I think the big thing that we wish for as fans of these games is to kind of see these characters just be themselves a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, I understand when people feel like it's weird that it's like, oh yeah, they're just going through the motions. They're like quickly pushing through the plot. There's no like, I think that's what leads to a lot of people just kind of feeling like the world is messy, because it really, if you didn't have any idea to any context to any of the locations and everything, the Mario world is really incoherent.
I did think that when they were transitioning through, because they have the islands a bit and they show you all of them.
Yeah.
And then
there's just Rainbow Road.
Yeah. I was not even that. It's like they go Bob-omb Battlefield to like a desert,
Yeah.
to Yoshi's, to just mountains, foggy area. And I was watching this thinking to myself, like, I understand what they're referencing. These are all obviously references, but where do these fit in this? Because they're on their way to a jungle, which earlier was shown as a completely different island. So how is this transitioning happening? Like, I'm guessing it's meant to be the different zones. But yeah, if you weren't familiar with any of these, it does just seem like a bunch of random scenes with no real connecting point to it.
Well, so I'm trying to like organize my thoughts here, but I have so many examples for like everything. So I guess we'll just like start listing stuff that happens in the movie, and I can.
Yeah, I think I just before we do that quickly, actually, I just wanted to bring up before we start doing detailed stuff what I think is just sort of going off of the point you mentioned before. I think the pacing of this movie is kind of the way it is. And I think when they went into making this movie, they had some clear ideas of scenes they wanted the movie to have. So they wanted a scene of Mario fighting Donkey Kong. They wanted a scene that was just a big Mario Kart reference with Rainbow Road and stuff. They wanted a scene with Mario and Peach. They wanted a scene with Mario and Luigi fighting Bowser. And so they plotted out these scenes first, and then everything that connects them is just sort of made up for whatever is the most convenient possible thing to fit those gaps. Because the actual set pieces, when they have the scenes and they stick on them, like the fight with Mario versus Donkey Kong, like the actual Mario Kart action section, those all feel like proper sort of fleshed out moments. It's the parts that are in between them are the places where everything sort of suffers. And I think the Mario and Luigi section that happens at the end is a great example of this, because of just if it was any other movie, I think you'd have the final battle just be Mario and Bowser, because Luigi spends most of this movie not doing anything because he's incapacitated.
Yeah,
but because it's the Super Mario Brothers movie, they wanted a scene of Mario and Luigi being heroes, and the only possible place they could do that was the very end of the movie. So Luigi just gets to have the big moment alongside Mario, even though thematically he didn't do anything in the movie to get to this point.
I was gonna say the trailers made it seem like there was a little bit of a subplot with Luigi before he gets captured, but no,
he just gets captured. Like you'd almost expect Luigi to have some kind of trying to escape on his own moment, some way of overcoming his cowardice, and the only time he gets that is right before they fight Bowser, where he jumps in between the flames with the manhole cover. And like, again, it's like you said, it's like, what's the smallest amount of thing we can do to get the point across? Well, here Luigi's just gonna have his brave moment now. Right, just because it puts their brotherly love into perspective, and then gives Luigi a heroic moment as quickly as we can, so that we can get the scene we wanted. Like, I think, it's like a mixture of these two sort of explains the pacing things. But alright, I just wanted to get that across before we start going into all the specifics.
Okay. Man, this is gonna feel like such a disjointed discussion because it's like at the end of the day, like it's good. I just like I have so like they could have done more. There's so many things where both like my gamer brain and I get whatever the gamer equivalent for movie is. You're my Kino cowboy brain, like. There's just like so okay. Can we talk about the licensed music?
Yeah, I was wondering when to bring that up. That's something I think we both agree on. Is kind of
why
I actually I summed this up to a friend after the movie. I think the other issue other than pacing that I have with the movie is what we dubbed Illuminationisms. Just things that are in like every Illuminations movie that didn't need to be here and just are because that's how Illuminations does things. And the licensed music is like objectively the worst one of these. Because it already has video gamey music that it uses and uses it really well, and there's so much video game music they could pull from for this, that the fact that they use licensed music is just baffling. And some of them, like initially when the first licensed music played, I think it was the Beastie Boys Brooklyn one.
Oh yeah, oh god. Oh,
I thought that like, okay, if they're in the human world in Brooklyn, they're doing licensed music, but when they get to the video game world, it'll just be video game music. So I obviously knew there was video game music in there. But no, the second I Need a Hero came on, I was just like, oh no, right.
That was like a jump scare to me because 5 days ago I watched the Tetris movie, which also has I Need a Hero in it at one point. Jeez. And I thought I was like, what the fuck is Nintendo doing to me?
Yeah, no, that movie of all of the licensed. By
the way, that movie is slightly worse than this Mario movie. It's a bit worse.
See, I think of all the licensed songs in this, the I Need a Hero one is the most egregious.
He doesn't even finish the training.
No,
course.
He doesn't.
Actually, I really like. All right, here comes the part everyone's gonna hate me for. This is the part where I try to do the filmmaker's job for them like a snooty asshole. I don't think they needed the training sequence if they're just gonna fucking walk to Kongland.
I know.
And furthermore, the first environment they walk through is Bob-omb Battlefield, one of the greatest first stages of a video game of all time. Why not just omit the training scene and have, like, Peach be like, well, there's no time to spend. We gotta go, Mario. We gotta take on this Bowser fella. Yeah. And the first place they go through is Bob-omb Battlefield, and Mario has to learn the basics of Marioing the same way the player learns the basics of Marioing in Mario 64.
They could have had him confront
and that
King
is not
Bob-omb
only
there
like
as well, given that he shows up later in the movie anyway.
Yeah, he shows up later in the movie. I felt pranked. I was like, wait a second.
I agree. Again, I think this is one of those, like what I was saying earlier, they had on their things of stuff we must do in this film is a scene of Mario doing platforming. And so they just came up with this entire platforming training montage so that they could have Mario do all the platformy stuff like wall jumping and ground pounding through blocks and stuff like that. Even though I would argue that the scene later with him and Donkey Kong does the platforming thing a much better, where they're running around and fighting all the enemies and getting the power-ups.
Well, also, he's really good at Marioing in the opening. That's like, if they didn't have that stupid-ass song playing, like, hell yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the level 1-1 reference.
Mm-hmm. That was great.
That's also
I was gonna
really
say,
good.
Like, if we want to pivot talking about this movie like in sequence because it's only like 30 minutes long, like we can. And if we're starting with, by the way, it's crazy that movie starts with the whole teaser trailer they released like a year ago.
I had a feeling would be the start of the movie because it sort of felt like it.
Yeah, so there's nothing to discuss there. Everyone's seen it. Moving on. The Brooklyn stuff was really good. It's probably the best. I said earlier. Did I say earlier the Mario and Donkey Kong stuff was the best?
Yes.
I lied. It's the Brooklyn stuff in the open.
I think I agree with you. I think one of the things I really liked about this movie and came away from is that I like all of the additions they made to fleshing out like Mario's backstory. Like we see like the entire Mario family with the dad, the mum, the uncle, and stuff like that. And the Punch Out Pizza is not super cool. You get the Pauline cameo, Foreman Spike as well, which I like.
There's
his new
so
design.
many references. It's like I was sitting there looking at the big ass movie theater screen and just like, oh my god, there's Punch Out. Oh my god, there's a DK arcade cabinet. Oh my god, it says Jumpman. Oh my god, Jumpman is playing it. Oh my god, it's Charles Martinet. Like, oh my god, it's Foreman Spike. Oh my, like this is just every
so
like frame or so there's just like another like 3 things to pick up. Mario plays Kid Icarus on the NES.
He's got an
he has an
R-Wing
F-Zero
model,
poster.
F-Zero NES game posters.
Oh, I think a Rad Racer poster. There's a Discoon store.
I mean, everyone said this to me, and I didn't see it. It was like the one thing I missed. They're like, "Oh, did you see the Discon thing? I bet you like that." And I was like, "There was a Discon thing." What?
It's most prominent. Well, this is what I was saying earlier, where there's so many references, and it feels like because the characters in the Brooklyn part of the movie is the most time the characters are actually interacting with the environment and like playing around and whatnot. It's strangely enough when they go to the Mushroom Kingdom and that whole area that they kind of stop doing that, and all of a sudden, like, you just have these scenes that are like, we gotta show a blooper here because how can we show this is a Mario movie if there's not a blooper in the background?
Yeah, like I think the Brooklyn part of it is the part that feels like the most traditionally a movie. Like the scenes actually feel like they're correctly paced and moving at the right amount of time, and characters are given the right moments. Like the whole conflict between Mario's dad and him, where Mario's like impulsive and stuff, and he's dragging Luigi into this, and like that's all like really good. And then once they get to the Mario world, everything just goes up to 11.
You know what's the funny thing with the Mario's dad thing? Is like obviously some people have been like looking at reviews for this movie, and they'll be like cherry picking certain things that are like, I wish the film had more emotional connection between like the characters and the environments. And obviously like they're basically just saying what I'm saying, where it's like, I wish there was just more time focusing on like just the characters like doing crazy stuff in the environment, even if it's not super plot related, just to have like fun, memorable scenes. But people were like reading that as like, why isn't there like an emotional subplot where like it's dramatic? And it's funny because there is one in the movie, and in a movie that is like completely fat-free, it actually sticks out a little bit because you're like, okay, Mario's dad.
I appreciate that because Mario and Donkey Kong are like the only 2 characters that have real character development throughout the movie.
Daddy issues.
Yeah, they both have the same daddy issues, but Mario also has the added thing that he loves his brother, and Luigi's kind of framed as being the stupid one of the 2 of them, who just goes along with Mario's
DK
plans.
Hates Diddy, and he doesn't have friends.
Yeah. I did like just jumping really forward, the very brief Diddy Kong cameo. I thought was cute.
Yeah,
in the DK section.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's another example of where I'm like, oh, there they are. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, they're gone.
Well, I knew they were going to be in the movie because of the posters, and it's the same for Pauline. Pauline gets one line, and then she's not there anymore.
I knew they'd be in the movie, but I thought they would reappear during the Rainbow Road scenes.
Yeah, you'd have thought they would have just been there in the background or something in one of the cars, but no. I mean, I'm convinced that they're there because the next thing Illuminations is doing is a Donkey Kong movie specifically, and so that'll have the whole DK crew in, and the Diddy, Dixie, and Chunky for some reason are like all here now as just like cameos because they're already going to design them up because they're already going to use them for another movie. So why not? Fan service. Although, speaking of the Kongs, I do like that new Kong, the sunglasses wearing gate one. who just fucking drives around.
That's another.
And causes
That's
crashes
another
and
licensed
stuff.
music thing because they fucking they edge you with the orchestral version of Jungle Groove, and then it's Take on Me.
Oh yeah, they do Take on Me there.
And it
You're
felt
right.
like, and like that felt especially egregious considering that everyone on this planet, including non-gamers, agree that the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack fucks. Like it's so good. It's
But if they did more of them, they'd have to credit the people who did the Donkey Kong ones, and we can't have that, can
Yeah.
we? Can we, Universal?
By the way, everyone keeps pointing out that they didn't credit the DK rap, but they also didn't credit any of the other game music in the movie either. of
No,
which
they credited all of it.
there is
to,
some.
They credited all of it to Koji Kondo, even though he didn't do a whole bunch of them. Like he did the main Mario themes, but that's about it.
There's a credit for the Bowser's Fury theme music, and it just says from Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Okay, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one else caught that.
I think it's because
I was-
I guess it's because we don't know who the composer of it isn't as vocal as the DK rap
Yeah.
one, and they also put the DK rap one like in the marketing, like they made a bigger deal of it, and it's like directly is just that song
Yeah.
from DK64 unaltered. So it's even the same vocalist of the DK rap as the games, and
Yeah.
just completely uncredited. I mean, it's just a bit of a shit thing to do, really, for all of them.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
I mean, I'm sure that's some stupid like cross-industry bullshit that's like a result of that.
All of the like, I guess, licensed music all got credited properly. So I don't know.
Yeah, all that shit is cringe. They should have not. They really shouldn't have. I get like having one or two tracks. Oh my god, they end with fucking Mr. Blue Sky.
I actually didn't mind that one. That was like one of the only two I didn't mind, along with the Beastie Boys one at the start. Although I literally only took that as it being a Chris Pratt reference because of the connection that song has with Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's in a lot of movies.
Yeah, but that's the one I know it the most from. So when I heard it, my first thought was that this was just done for Chris Pratt. Although that was another bait and switch one, because it sounds like it's going to be a different song at the start, and then it becomes Blue Sky.
You think they're gonna play a Mario song?
Yeah,
It's
and they-
ELO.
It's just like, what the fuck?
It's Jeff Lynne.
But yeah, I mean, going back, I guess, in subsequent order, once they enter the Mushroom
Yeah.
Kingdom and they both split off.
Oh! One last thing about Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
That was the Duck Hunt dog.
Oh, is that what it's meant to be?
So there's like a shot. Maybe someone in the comments is gonna be like, no, actually, you have dementia. And that's not what happens in the movie. But there is a reverse shot where Mario and Luigi are looking at the dog in the hallway before going into the bathroom, and behind them there's a painting of the dog, and it's doing the Duck Hunt dog laughing pose.
Oh, okay.
And again, it's very quick because every reference in this movie is on screen for like 2 frames. So who knows? Maybe it is my brain worms acting up and like putting references in the movie. But no, I because there's also another Duck Hunt reference.
There's a few Duck Hunt references. There's a
Yeah.
shop that's called Duck Hunt, but it's in French. And there's also Duck Hunt pictures of the ducks and the Duck Hunt map in the Punch Out Pizza place.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm actually going to see the movie a second time, because I saw it with friends the first time. My family wanted to go see it, so I thought I'd just go with them. And so I'll keep an eye out for the Duck Hunt dog one then.
Don't release this video until after you've seen the movie again, and then you can insert a little clip of whether or not I was right.
Just give it a little thumbs up with the thing if you're right.
Just like in the theater, take out your phone and turn on the flash and take a picture.
Sorry, I gotta do this for a video. Hold on.
I'm journalizing.
Someone's got to record this. No, I'll keep an eye out for that. There's so many references in this movie that
There's so many references.
You know, I mean, I like. There's definitely there for the fans, It's the kind of thing
Yeah.
where it's because it's in
the
cinema,
best
I'm gonna have
part,
to
like-
wait till it comes out.
It's definitely like one of the like best aspects of the movie overall. Is just like this is because we were talking about the Sonic movies. That was my biggest thing about the first Sonic movie, is that its only connections to the Sonic franchise are Sonic, Ring, and Eggman.
It's Green
That's
Hill.
it.
Is
Like,
they live in Green Hill.
Oh yeah,
But no, you're right.
But, like,
That's why the
that's-
second movie
yeah,
is a
there's,
lot
like,
better because
nothing.
they have a lot
It
more
feels so-
references in the second one.
it feels so like far removed from the original media. The original Sonic 1 it has almost nothing to do with any Sonic game I've ever played. Think about Sonic 1 and then think about like Sonic Mania. Couldn't be further pieces of media. But this is definitely a Mario
Yes,
movie.
this is very much a Mario movie. It has all the Mario stuff.
This is the Mario movie.
There's all the music, all the design stuff, and I like a lot of the new design changes, or slight changes. Like I like how the new Mushroom Kingdom looks. I know that the castle is based on the one from Odyssey. I like the Toad designs, even if Toadsworth is dead. Rest in peace. Replaced him with a random blue Toad wearing glasses.
I was gonna say, if we're talking about performances in this movie, especially when relating to the characters and their new designs, everyone gave Chris Pratt way too much shit
he's
going into this movie. He's actually, in my opinion, he was the highlight of the movie, of all the performances. I think he felt super natural.
Yeah, no, he was really good in the movie. I think Jack Black as Bowser is still my favourite, and I think Seth Rogen naturally does Donkey Kong very well, even if it is just his voice. But I was really impressed with Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor as Peach as well. Both of them were...
I was actually going to say, I don't think I was too impressed by Anya Taylor. She just sounds kind of bossy the whole movie. She doesn't...
I suppose. Like, I think I don't know. I think it works for the character they're going for Peach. I don't know. I really like Peach in this movie. I think the only character that I wasn't sold on was Cranky Kong, and that's because he just didn't.
Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong is awful.
He just doesn't feel like Cranky Kong at all. Like, I feel like this is a direction.
What's that voice?
Yeah, it feels like a direction.
What's that voice
problem.
he's doing?
He doesn't feel ironically cranky enough to be Cranky Kong.
It sounds like he wanted to do like a older like New York like man just he sounds like he's trying to do Woody Allen almost, but like they didn't want him to go like all in. They were like, well, you can't just like do the cadence but not like the accent or anything. So it just sounds like Fred Armisen going like, Cranky Kong. Like,
yeah, that was the one that completely threw me off because he sounded nothing like I expected him to, and he didn't act anything like I expected him to either. So I was just like, this doesn't seem like the same character from the games at all, and I guess he's the only reason he's there is because they needed a leader of the Kong people, and Cranky Kong is the oldest one, so there we go. He's DK's dad, so yeah, that was the only performance I wasn't thrilled on out of all of them.
I guess maybe that was the idea. Like, do you think they're gonna make it so like DK and the princess came from Brooklyn?
No, I don't think DK... the princess, yes. Or maybe not Brooklyn, but somewhere from the real world. Like, I feel like... And this is actually something I did quite like. They sort of explained that the reason that Peach is the only, human there is because she is also from Mario's world. Like, the game sort of goes back and forth on whether it wants you to think the Mario Bros are from the Mushroom Kingdom or if they're from another world, and then never explain where all the other human characters come from. Like the Yoshi's Island series just says they all come from Storks and they were always there.
Well, I was gonna say the only reason I bring that up is because Jumpman is a real person in this universe. He's a separate person.
Jumpman's the name of the arcade machine in this universe, but the actual guy,
he's dressed exactly. He's got the red overalls and the blue shirt.
This is the thing. If you look at the Jumpman arcade cabinet, it's a completely different character. It looks more like Fix-It Felix, to be honest, from Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh my god!
Than actually what Jumpman looks like. But then the character, whose name is Giuseppe, according to the credits, it dresses and looks like Jumpman. So like, there's like. Clearly, Jumpman is a video game series with its own mascot, who is a vaguely like is Discount Mario, because it also has like Discount Donkey Kong and Discount Pauline on the side of the arcade cabinet.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like, like
it
Odyssey. I can't believe we're talking about Mario lore, but In Odyssey, like, they're like, oh, hell yeah, Donkey Kong, the 1981 arcade classic, happened.
You see, this is the thing, it's setting up for a sequel where the Kongs invade and take over Brooklyn and rename it to New Donk City. And then Mario's got to fight him. And that's how it's gonna go. Now, I think the movie is doing its own thing. It's taking from all the sources, because obviously the original plot was that it was Brooklyn, and then the brothers were from Brooklyn, and then they changed it so that the Mario brothers are actually always from the Mushroom Kingdom, and then they're not even humans, but their own sort of species, and then they did New Donk City and were just like, oh, the real world doesn't exist. Brooklyn's actually New Donk City, and now they're going back again and being like, well, actually, no, the real world does exist, and they're from there again. They're just being inconsistent with the deep lore of Super Mario. But I actually quite like it. Of all the things in this movie that they just don't explain, which I think is a good thing. I have seen some reviews criticize the movie for not explaining any of the fantasy elements, which was a thought I had while watching it. Like, if you didn't know anything about Mario and then Rainbow Road suddenly appears, would it take you out of the movie? But then I also thought, and everyone else who I was with had this opinion already, it's a fantasy movie with fantasy elements. The movie would be bogged down if they tried to explain everything that happens.
Well, I don't think it's more so that there like isn't there isn't a scene where Peach gives Mario the lowdown of why there's a Rainbow Road. It just I think it's more so that there's like there's very little time exploring this world. Like there's no scene, as I was saying earlier, there's no just like scenes of them just like futzing about in different locations. They just want to keep things moving. So I think it's more so like when we move to a new location, when we move to a new scene, it just feels like, sure, this is a fantasy world where anything can happen, but there's no cohesion to any of it. It's not that any of it doesn't make any sense. It's that it's like, how does this world's like layout work, or like
the world's layout is definitely a conflicting thing, but I think ultimately the film doesn't want you to care much about it. I think the scene that makes this sort of apparent when I was thinking back on it is when they're going through the Mushroom Kingdom for the first time, and Mario brings up the fact that like there are floating blocks, and then effectively immediately just accepts that there are floating blocks. And everything is like this now.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think like it needs a literal explanation. I think there just needs to be more scenes of the characters doing things in the environments. Just to give like, it's just stuff for the movie to do more, and then we'll just naturally establish things through the order of like, you know, visual gags and other little fun setups.
Yeah, true. Like a scene of a Kong turning a crank and Rainbow Road activating or something.
Yeah, should have had Mario stomp on some fucking Goombas. Like, it's a Mario movie.
He stomps on some Koopas.
Yeah, that's...
Like, maybe they didn't want to show flat Goombas or something. They want to show Mario bashing in the Goomba head and dying immediately.
I think a good example of this is Toad, because Toad is with them the whole movie, but he says, off the top of my head, 6 things total?
Yeah, Toad is a weird
He
one.
should have had him cracking wise more, pulling out more, have him do some like, they go to a little path that's like too wide or something, and then he has to do some Captain Toad thing.
Like,
And you do that for like 3 seconds, and then it's like, oh, that's cool.
Toad is an interesting one because he's obviously goes on his adventure with them, but he's meant to be the comic relief character. But you're right, he is just kind of there. A lot of his stuff is all very visual gags of like the contrast between him being the adventurous Toad and every other Toad being a coward, which again they only really establish that by Peach pointing out how weird it is that there is a brave Toad. And then the earlier scene where all the other Toads are like, we can't do anything because we're too cute, sort of thing. Like that, again, minimum amount of establishing to get across why this Toad specifically is different. And I like Toad
say,
in
movie,
this, but
the movie also needed more jokes because so much of the dialogue is plot focused that when a joke happens, you're like, oh, what the hell? It feels like it like comes a little out of nowhere. There was like one Peach. I completely forgot it, but there's like one Peach line that really like blindsided me because it's supposed to be like a very serious scene, and then she just says something like,
I think
just some fucking movie thing.
Is it this?
I can't believe I'm blanking.
Is it the scene where they're leaving the Mushroom Kingdom? Because
yes,
that one got a line where they're like, "Who is that guy?" And then there's like the pause.
Not important.
Yeah,
like
not
why?
Important. And then they all cheer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
why'd they have to dunk on Mario?
That blindsided like I think everyone in the cinema. Me and my mate just started laughing at it. Like the second it happened, because we just didn't see it coming. It's a funny situation. It did make me think. I can kind of see why some people were like, "Oh, this is like the Peach and Bowser show, and Mario is like a side character." I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can kind of see why you'd get that opinion from watching the movie. Given that Mario is very much just there, like he has his mission to rescue Luigi, and so he just tags along with the princess. Because she's also happens to be fighting Bowser, so their two paths are just gonna end up, meeting at the same place. So why not walk there together? But you're right; it does make Mario seem slightly less important to things. But I don't know. I actually kind of like that joke. I thought it was. Pretty funny.
I'm just saying, like it just like it's. I like for a movie where I was expecting more jokes that like. I don't know. I just wanted more jokes. It's a kid. Like, what's funny is that everyone's response to like anyone wanting a bit more depth out of something like this is like, it's a kids movie, but like, yeah, if you're gonna show a baby a movie, fill it full of jokes. Fill it full of. You should make it constant, just like gags and stuff. And I don't want to like. I don't want to keep making it sound like this movie's like completely devoid of any sort of funny.
Oh no,
thing
I think
Bowser.
I think there's a lot of funny things. I think there's just not jokes. Like I think like
there's no bits.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, there's no just like a great example of this actually of just a gag, a bit, a scene is like Luigi getting chased by the dry bones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do more of that. Just sequences where they have to encounter Mario enemies and deal with it for a second.
Yeah, they don't really do that a lot in this film. But like,
no, and I feel like we just needed that. It needed more, Peach says something funny, Mario's like, haha, wahoo, or whatever.
I mean, that is one thing actually I did like in this. A lot of the Mario quirks of him being like, wahoo, it's-a me, Mario, etc. were always done. He still does them, but they contextualize them. They always do them in like really slow motion and in ways where it would kind of make sense. When he says it's-a me is probably the best example of that, because he's obviously just been beaten the crap out of by Donkey Kong. and Peach calls out his
I
name.
like that he
so
does the
responds.
voice. He does the
Yeah,
voice.
he does the voice. He does the voice in the commercial at the start, and then it's like,
Yep.
is this too much? And it was really good. It was like to the point that when I heard it, I started thinking, is that Charles Martinet? Like, is this the Charles Martinet cameo? And they were going to make a joke about how they had to get someone to dub over Mario's voice when Chris Pratt started talking. But then obviously Charles Martinet's Giuseppe showed up like immediately and made me realise, oh no, that's actually was just Chris Pratt doing the Mario voice. And he does it really well, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with some of the guests, because there is definitely humour in this. I think, like I mentioned before, the Kong that meets them and then gets him onto his car, and they have that whole like driving sequence. I think that whole sequence is really funny, ignoring the fact that the music it plays. I think just everything that happens is there's a ton of visual gags. The gorilla himself is really funny when he puts the music on, puts the sunglasses on, is like hop on. Like, they do a lot of things like that. There's also the scene where Mario and Peach are talking when they're driving, and then Donkey Kong comes over to insult Mario about the flirting, and then Toad comes along and then tries to
like, you got it,
yeah,
bud.
wingman's Mario, and that's a funny sequence.
What a good guy. I was just sitting there being like, man, Donkey Kong's an asshole. And I'm like, man, Toad's fucking awesome.
Toad's best
He's a
friend.
Great guy to have.
Yeah, I really like how because they hit
The movie needed more of that. Those scenes are good. I like that. I like when the characters are being fucking goofballs to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that you have to wade through, Thunderstruck to get there.
Yeah, true. I think that one thing I did also like, and I sort of knew it was coming because I know my Mario lore, and I know that Bowser's whole thing is that he wants to marry Peach, but they kept that hidden throughout all the promotional material, that was his motivation. And it was like, one of the things I was wondering about going into this movie was, what are they going to use as the justification for why Bowser is looking for Mario, if this is the first time they've met? Like, I was worried there was going to be some kind of prophecy nonsense or something. But no, I just really like the idea that Bowser is just, like, super jealous. And Luigi makes everything worse because of his admiration of his brother. The line where it's like, is this the sort of person that a princess would like? And Luigi responds with, if she has good taste, then yes.
It's pretty crazy the Koopas were like, what? Like, even they weren't on board with his plan. They were like, that's a little... And then he gets turned into the dry bones. That's a good bit. This movie's full of good bits. Just wish there was more.
Every scene where they're in the cage and there's the Luma. Just the random ass Luma in this movie.
That felt the most like illumination to me, that Luma. Like, it was funny,
it was a bit random. The fact that it never actually tied into anything and was just there to do the contrast of cute and negativity, I guess.
There's a lot of Super Mario Galaxies out there.
I feel like if they make a third movie, that's when they'll start bringing in the Galaxy stuff to this. But it was sort of a bit randomly there. I did like the penguins, though. I like the penguins in this movie. I want the King Penguin to be in the games. And they did a sequel hook at the end with Yoshi.
They did. They had two post-credit
Yoshi
scenes,
egg.
sorta.
Yeah, just a gag one with Bowser. Yeah, the Bowser's song was pretty funny the first time it plays through.
I gotta say, by the way, that ending feels like it's from a completely different movie, and I don't mean that as a bad thing, but why they do JoJo stands
I'm assuming you're talking about the posing when they jump into the park.
Yeah,
just to, I don't know. have the Mario.
So crazy. That ending is so wacky, where they flash back into Brooklyn. I have nothing to say about the last 10-15 minutes about the movie.
I will give this. I did like the fact that Brooklyn came back into it.
Yeah.
Because I was almost certain
what happens in the Mario
that,
93 movie.
Yeah. I was almost certain that they would go to the Mushroom Kingdom and just, like, Brooklyn would only come back at the end when the brothers return and then realize they'd rather be in the Mushroom Kingdom and go back. The whole chase scene with the Banzai Bill was a surprise, and then they just blow up the warp zone and suck everything in. Like, I almost thought they were going to do a thing where Mario gets pulled through, and then he's the only one who wakes up in Brooklyn, and they can't figure out a way of getting back to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, and then Mario was going to have his own little sort of mini end to his storyline before finding a way back. But he does get that sort of end to his storyline when he gets flung through the Punch-Out pizza shop during the final fight.
No, the ending is good. It's big, it's crazy,
yeah.
it's wacky. They throw in they do the same thing as they did with the references at the beginning of the movie, where they pack in as many as possible, but because it's like a fast action scene and not just like a character building moment, you're like, oh my god, this is fucking insane, this is so crazy. Oh my god, the clown pod, you know. It's just
the clown pods. You got the Mario and Luigi spinning Bowser by the tail and throwing him away, and then doing the like meteor dive kick coming down. The actual crunch when they hit Bowser's head on that, I was just like a big oof moment. Yeah. I did like this. Kind of gave me Mario and Luigi vibes. Because obviously the two of them working together, like proper bro move type things. Yeah.
The ending is like... I feel like it's the thing people talk about the movie the least. Which is crazy, because it's like the biggest spoiler. It's the ending.
The ending.
But of course the ending is... they defeat Bowser. Whoa. It's not...
I like that everyone is involved in that. Like Peach, Donkey Kong, and Toad are all fighting Bowser, and then Mario and Luigi drop
parents.
in. Yeah, Mario's parents are there. Luigi rescues Spike and gets to very quickly redeem himself, considering Spike was like shitting all over him at the start of the movie.
Mario's dad says two things in this movie, and the first thing is like, "Yeah, son, you fucking suck." Idiot. And then the last thing he says is like, wow, Mario, that was fucking cool.
Yeah, that's my boy.
And then Mr. Blue Sky plays.
Yeah. And Spike says, it's the Super Mario Brothers, and everyone cheers.
I like how all of Mario's relatives look like some pizzeria in the middle of like Minnesota, like traced over official Nintendo art to make their own like pizzeria mascot.
I like that one of them is just called Uncle Tony, like the most New Yorkish name you could ever give Italian American.
In a brighter alternate timeline, we would have had James Gandolfini play Mario's dad. I told you to do none of this plumbing stuff.
One thing we skipped over was the actual wedding sequence.
I
actually like the fact that Peach rescues herself from the wedding and uses the ice flower really creatively to do it. I just thought that was a really cool... because like she had to get captured at some point because that's the usual Mario flair.
Yeah,
but
they used the Odyssey...
wedding outfits.
Cool seeing Odyssey things in here. I mean, obviously, like, it's the newest game, so... and it's 5 fucking years old, but...
I'm aging very fast right now.
Oh my god. But, yeah, no, I mean... as I said, I don't think I have anything to say about the last, like, 10 to 20 minutes. It's just big, it's just fun. It's the most, like... They just did everything they possibly could in those last like 15 to 20 minutes, just like maximize like, you know, speed, just action,
increase the pace, get everything in there, big
jokes,
action scenes.
everything. They have that shot of Mario looking sad in the pizzeria, which looks good. That was a good looking shot.
He sees the advert on his TV. You get the Jumpman arcade cabinet next to him.
Yeah.
So it's a very good scene. I like that one. If I have one very tiny nitpick, and this is a me thing, in the wedding sequence, you get to see King Bob-omb and King Boo, And I don't know if it's just me, but King Boo just looks really off.
Someone said that to me. You know what's funny? I've seen several people say that, and I didn't notice it. I was too focused on King Bob-omb.
King Bob-omb's great. I was surprised him, but I was surprised to see King Boo because I thought they would like leave him, I guess, and make like a bigger appearance of him in a sequel.
No, everyone's here.
But no, yeah, he gets a cameo, but he just looks really weird. Like, he looks like he's too wide and his face is too small. And then I don't know if it's like weird to say, but because it's an animated movie, but he looks fake. Like he looks
I think
fake
I know what you
compared
mean.
to everything else around him.
Like he looks like lower grade than the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like an
that.
earlier textured model of King Boo, and it's like the one time where I looked at it and I was just like the game design is significantly better for this. He kind of looks like he's just T-posing with a really tiny face and a wide body, and he doesn't do anything. He's just there and has the same expression the entire time, and I was just like, why does he look so bad? What is this? But yeah, that's the only thing I could even think of to complain for the final section of the movie. It just sort of threw me off, but I liked actually how they used King Bob-omb in the movie.
Yeah,
he just blows
King.
up.
Yeah.
It was good.
They should have had him walking around in the background of Bob-omb Battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. They could have had him there earlier, and so his appearance later on would make sense.
It'd be funnier if they killed him twice. That's how. That's what should have happened. They should have done like they go through Bob-omb Battlefield, and then I Need a Hero plays when Mario's fucking with King Bob-omb. And then he comes back later with a big band-aid over his head or something.
And then it happens again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would have been a funny recurring gag with him. Yeah, they could have had King Boo as well in the scene with Luigi where he was in the broken down castle at the start. Yeah. I mean, I like the flash where you see the Shy Guys behind him. And then he screams. Like, that's a very good scene.
I can't believe they put a Dry Bones jump scare in the movie.
Yeah.
There was a few children in the theater crying after that. Like, it's a little intense.
So he goes to the Dark Land. This is what you get. Yeah, but yeah, there's a sequel hook at the end for the next movie, which I guess they're keeping Brooklyn around because the Yoshi Egg is obviously in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see more of Giuseppe.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say there's no way like they really gassed up Foreman Spike in this. Like,
yeah, he's interesting because he was one of those first characters announced to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And like,
sure
I suppose
is in the movie.
He sure is in the movie. Yeah, they didn't show him off in any of the pre-release material. He was the only one of those original characters.
They didn't want to spoil it.
They didn't show off much of the Brooklyn stuff. I was really surprised when Mario's family showed up in this.
That was really the only like the Brooklyn stuff is basically the only stuff that there is to spoil because it's the only stuff.
The Brooklyn
that's
stuff
on
and the wedding stuff because they didn't do anything with the wedding either in the trailers. But yeah, like I was like wondering what Foreman Spike was going to do, and he just has the scene at the beginning of the movie where he insults them, and then he has the scenes at the end of the movie where they save him, and then he comes around on them.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I don't know what like their plan is for him. I feel like because they've introduced the fact that the humans come from the human world, one of the reasons they're keeping Brooklyn around is because they'll probably introduce Wario and Waluigi in the next movie. Yeah. Because now that they've established that humans don't exist normally in the Mushroom Kingdom world, if they want to introduce characters like Wario, Waluigi, and Daisy, they're going to just have to bring them in from the human world somehow.
Yeah.
So, keeping Brooklyn around does sort of make sense for having that. A way to introduce those three characters specifically. Just because I don't think they're going to use Donkey Kong again in a future Mario movie. I think he'll get his own movie.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's like having too many characters.
It's pretty clear. I mean, like, I think regardless, it's pretty clear they went into this like looking to make as many of these movies as possible. They created a new studio. They made a new company. So, I mean, this movie's gonna probably make $1 trillion anyway. It's gonna make more billion dollars. So
it's apparently already made in its first day $66.7 million.
Yeah, I was my local theater, which I didn't go to, but my local theater was doing like 10:30 and 11 a.m. screenings on a Wednesday, and they were like near packed.
Yeah, apparently it's Warner Brothers Universal's best opening for a Wednesday, and it was the best opening. It's the best opening for any animated movie in the UK. Apparently, it's doing very well. Yes.
Yeah,
I don't believe Miyamoto's claims that there's nothing to announce in terms of movies in the currently planned. I absolutely believe that there's not only a second Mario movie, but a Donkey Kong and possibly Zelda movie. Because that was something I also noted. Why did they pick Kid Icarus as the game to have Mario play?
Oh, yeah!
There's like not a single like Zelda or Metroid reference in this movie, and it made me think like, well, I guess if those are the type of series that they could make movies out of, so they didn't want to reference them as things in this world. Whereas Kid Icarus, they're never going to make a movie in. So
that would have been cool.
You could have played Earthbound Zero on his NES.
I was going to say they should have had Luigi be like, Mario, you got to play. It's an underrated classic.
You got to play Devil World on the NES.
Play Star Tropics.
He's just reading a copy of Nintendo Power. Actually, this brings up many questions, because clearly Nintendo exists in the Mario universe now.
Yeah, they're making playing cards.
And they make video games, and they make playing cards, and I guess their mascot is Jumpman, I guess, if we're...
their mascot
Mario
is Kid
isn't
Icarus.
There. Yeah, maybe that's it. Pit is the new mascot of Nintendo.
Everyone cannot get enough of the original Kid Icarus.
Flagship title. Oh, man.
You know what they should have had in this movie was a Tetris reference.
Just playing Tetris on the Game Boy. Well, maybe they do. Maybe it was one of the many, many references in this movie that you just couldn't catch on the first watch.
You have to... I was going to say, this movie is like... I think I saw some people that are like, this is a very rewatchable movie. I don't know if I'd ever rewatch this movie, but I do see it being extremely like TikTok, did you know, in the background of the Mario movie, and it's like paused and zoomed.
I think we'll have to wait until it actually comes out and is streamable for that.
Yeah,
they already
announced it. May 9th.
Yeah. Oh, is it May 9th? Damn.
May 9th. Movies, films, cinema. I hope that's in Mario 2 we get more of Mario being a little gamer.
He's just playing Doki Doki Panic,
being a short king
Famicom
gamer.
Disc system. yeah. Mario and Luigi are both super short in this. And they're just like, oh yeah. So I guess the implication is that the super mushroom makes them bigger. So in the games, we're actually seeing them big all the time. They're actually always super tiny. I thought that was funny.
It is funny. It's very silly. Also, he doesn't like mushrooms. How could we forget?
I thought that was a funny gag.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give that one. That was
cute.
Yeah, the movie is very cute, and I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I'll be seeing it again for sure, but it'll probably be mainly to try and catch the references. Story-wise, it's it's what you'd expect from a Mario movie.
As I said before, I have I think at like a baseline, it's good. I mean, if you watch one movie a year, you'll like it, but it's like, I do wish they did more. I really did want more out of it. I wish it was...
Yeah, no, that's fair. Now that they've established this, the second movie, we'll see if they try.
They'll do it all in the second movie. They'll do it all in the sequel.
Like they could potentially. I think they'll probably look at some of the feedback from this that people have had, because I'm sure they weren't expecting this movie to get such the bad critical response that it did. Like the fact that they're using the fan critic reviews.
Yeah,
on
so
their marketing.
that's the other thing too. Like, like when people were like, "Oh, the fucking critics don't get it." Like, I've seen way more like innocuous things get like generally higher ratings. I was like, something's up. Usually this doesn't like the first Sonic movie has a higher like aggregate scores. How the hell did that happen?
I do genuinely think at some level there are people who went into this movie expecting it to be a lot deeper than it probably was, given all of the build up around it, because it is still a kids movie, just one that you can really enjoy as an adult if you know the source material and stuff, and you could potentially enjoy even if you don't know the source material. But I'm sure a lot of critics went into it with all the hype and stuff expecting maybe something more, and I also do genuinely think there might be some just bad actors in there who are like, oh, we don't like the fact that Peach isn't the damsel in distress sort of thing. And because like I've seen people, like I said, be like, oh, well, this is Peach's story, Mario's not the main character in it, and I don't agree with this take at all. Like, she's obviously a powerful like character, I guess. Like, she's an important character. She's like the leader, but it's absolutely Mario's movie. Peach doesn't actually have a through line in this. She's just there to teach Mario about stuff. Mario is the one who has the emotional storyline.
Peach is kind of a pushover in this movie because she's like, you got to do all this fucking training, buddy, so we can get over to the Kong world. And then they walk over, and then they're like, we need your army, Cranky. And he goes, no. And she's like, well, I did my best.
That's true. So it's only because Mario steps up for it.
She's like, I did my princessy duties.
That is very true. But people, like, I don't know, went into, because there was all that critique from a certain crowd online, and I do wonder if that potentially it covered some opinions, I guess, clouded some judgment for when it came to reviewing this movie.
I don't know. I don't...
At least one or two of them. There are just some reviews, there are some takes I've seen that I just cannot fathom that there wasn't bad intention behind it based on what the conclusions are of them. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't read every review, so I'm not gonna speak on behalf of people who watch movies, but I know people who've seen it and have said the same things I have, so I'm not alone in this.
Oh,
it
yeah,
seems
no,
like
that's
it's generally pretty agreed upon, or at least, you know, just a common opinion.
I think the general takeaway from my friends was that, I mean, I think I liked it more than the rest of them, but everyone enjoyed watching the movie, but a lot of them wished it kind of did a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, it had the potential to do more, but it just wanted to do a Mario movie and just did a Mario movie in like the simplest, straightforwardest way that they could, which also is the way the film is paced. So I guess the takeaway here is to do the minimal amount of time possible to establish what you want to do.
Yeah, it feels like a truncated version of a much longer movie. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean it had to have like lore or, you know, like more story or anything. I think it just needed to have more confidence in its characters, because I think regardless of who you are, like, even if you don't know who these characters are, like, Mario and Luigi and Donkey Kong and Bowser and Peach are like some of the most instantly just like recognizable, and like just like you see them and you're like, all right, I want to know what this character's deal is. I want them to be a cute little funny game character. And so it just needed more of that. It just needed more stuff.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I think everyone who watches this movie, whether they're a little toddler or a guy who bought an NES day one at Funko Land in 1984, like, they can all think up of like 20 scenes, like 20 just like gags that they could have shoved in this movie. Yeah. And it would have been fun. Yeah. It was funny. Everyone's biggest fear going in was that it was going to be like all just like these, it's just going to be like Illumination gag joke and then it's like not actually. It sticks to its plot and really just like hammers through the whole thing. I saw someone say that like the licensed music in this is not as bad as like Uptown Funk and Sonic 2, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no, it's way worse than this. I think that scene in Sonic 2 is
that
the
feels
worst
super Sonic.
Scene. It feels very Sonic. That's true,
Uptown
but I also think
Funk
it's the worst
sounds like
scene
a song
in that
Sonic
movie.
the Hedgehog would listen to, and I know because I've played a Sonic the Hedgehog video game with like. But Take on Me, I don't see it. I Need a Hero, I don't see it. Other than the fact that they're vaguely 80s-ish, which.
All right. Anyway, I think we'll start wrapping it up on that. So.
Oh no, I was wrong. That is an 80s song. Cut that out. I didn't know. I thought it was from like 93.
Shit. It was all 80s.
Cut it out.
Okay. All right. I think we'll wrap this up then. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll have all the patrons coming up on screen right now. If you want to know how you can become one, link in the description. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments, or what your thoughts, criticisms, praises, all of that sort of stuff. Let us know. We'll look forward to reading them. With that, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and always return to the source.
It's a me.